Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm happy to have you here. In this video, we're gonna have a look at one of the legends of the Z cars of Nissan, namely the Z32 300zx. It even helped out a struggling supercar company by the name of Lamborghini by lending an eye or two to their Diablo at the time. So first I'm gonna give you a short brief about what we're going to do with this design. What kind of redesign do we want? Do we want a complete modern version of it, or do we want to update the existing shape, or do we want something in between? So that's what we're going to talk about first. Then we're going to obviously continue in Photoshop and do the whole redesign. I'm going to walk you through step by step the whole process of it until we get to the final result. So let's see how this goes. Now, before we get into the sketching part, just make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. That way you get notified when new videos are uploaded every single week. Alright guys, so here we have the Z32 300zx. So what exactly are we looking to do with this redesign? Well, I don't want to create a brand new 300zx. To me, that just doesn't make sense because you already have the 350z, the successor to this, and then the 370z, and then there's coming a new one shortly, I'm sure, after the 370z. So what I want to do is kind of make something in between a brand new model and a modernization of this existing shape. So I'm going to change a few elements in the graphics of this car, but not really change the proportions of it. So what I'm going to do, clean up these lines and the very 90s details that we have. All these lights have to go, all of that have to be updated. The mirror itself, I think, needs to have some updates to it. This little indicator right there, let me zoom in for you so you can see what I'm doing. And also work on the front bumper and the side of this. So we want to have some modern touches and some modern shapes, long sweeping surfaces that are trendy right now, to have creases, tiny, subtle creases in the body of the design, in the hood. And also the lights, I need to change those into some LEDs and maybe change the shape of this design right here. One thing though that I really want to keep in this redesign, which is to me one of the trademarks, if you will, for the 300zx is the distance between these two lights. Hi, Rosie. So these two lights, to me, they sit very narrow. So you have this massive body panels on the side of the headlights. So I want to keep the distance between these because it's very typical or very symbolic for this 300zx. But at the same time, I want to update the lights and make something cool out of them. Obviously put some LEDs in there, have some running lights, and work on the graphics for that, create an identity in the eyes of the 300zx. And of course we need to work on the wheels as well. These are very 90s wheels. Want to update those, not something crazy, but still have it look very sporty, and maybe see some brake calipers behind the wheels itself and so on. The major difference is going to be happening in the front. I want to create some cool, modern looking front fascia for this 300zx redesign. However, one really important thing with this redesign and graphically that we have to keep is this bar right here. You see this black bar? If we move that further down, it's going to look very weird, and the reason for that is because this distance of body panel then becomes very long, and we don't want that. So when I update this design, I want to have something that breaks up this front fascia very early, and by very early I mean very soon from where we go. If we go down from the headlights, I need something to break some shape, something that stretches across the width of the front of the car. I need that to happen pretty soon, because otherwise it's going to look like the headlights is sitting in the middle of the hood and very centered in the hood, and I don't want that graphically. So we need to add some crease pretty soon at pretty much in the same position where we have this black bar, and it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to turn out. So now let's jump into Photoshop and let's do the redesign and let's see how it's going to turn out. The car we know as the 300zx was first sold in Japan under the name Fairlady Z. The first Z31 models rolled out in 1983 in Japan, and came to the US in 1984. It was replaced by the Z32 model in 1989, with the last 300zx being sold in the US in 1996. And the Z32 model is the model that we're going to be focusing on in this redesign. However, in Japan, the Z32 continued to be in production until 2001. Now, the name 300zx followed the numerical convention initiated with the original Z car, the Nissan S30, a car that was marketed in the US as the 240Z. The addition of the X to the car's name meant that you could get the car with optional rear seats, just as the case was with its predecessor, the 280zx. The second generation Z32 was faster, more capable, more advanced, and much higher priced than its predecessor, with consecutive price increases each model year. As such, the Z31 was a more accessible car, selling over 100,000 more units in total than the Z32. In 83 to 84, you could get a brand new Nissan's 300zx Turbo for around $12,000 to $18,000. Now, the changes in styling between the Z31 and 32 are pretty obvious. The body got wider with a rounder profile and fewer hard edges, something that was typical for the era. The car received a number of updates during its production run. For example, a new rear spoiler and colors in 1994, a facelifted front fascia in 1995 with color match instead of a gray strip, along with many technical updates throughout the years. Twin turbocharged Z32s also featured an active rear wheel steering system that was first introduced in the HR31 Nissan Skyline. The power for the Z32 300zx came from a 3-liter V6 engine producing 222 horsepower in the non-turbo version, while the addition of 2 turbos boosted the power to 300 horsepower. This allowed the car to sprint from 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds and reach a limited top speed of 155 miles per hour. American Z car sales reached 1 million sales during the 1990 model year, making it, at the time, the best-selling sports car. Now, as the mid-90s came along, the marketplace changed, with trends towards SUVs, and the rising yen to dollar ratio contributed to the end of North American 300zx sales in 1996, with over 80,000 cars sold. While the 1989 300zx was priced around $30,000, its final model year price increased to about $50,000. Even though the sales stopped in the US, they continued in Japan all the way up to 2001, with a facelift in 1998 that featured a new fascia, taillights, headlights, rear spoiler, and other minor changes to the design. Just like Pontiac did with the Aztek, Nissan utilized the Cray 2 supercomputer to design the new 300zx with a CAD software, making it one of the first production cars to utilize this tool. It's interesting to see how the companies ended up with such different end results in their styling. Now we're almost at the end of this redesign. Everything is starting to come together here, and what I like with Asian car design and styling in general is that it allows you to play around a lot with simply styling features of a car design. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific function for each shape. Asian car makers always have a lot of fun just playing around with forms and experimenting with that. And I think this design language fits the 300zx perfectly. Well, there we have it, guys. That's the redesign of the 300zx, the Z32. I really hope you enjoyed this video just as much as I enjoyed making it. I think it turned out good. It turned out the way I was looking for it to turn out, if that makes sense. I didn't want to completely redesign the 300zx into a new car. What I wanted was to create a 300zx that could be produced today using the manufacturing methods and kind of some design trends and styling from today, and put that onto the proportions of the old 300zx. Now I'm gonna ask you for a small favor that's gonna take you 0.2 seconds to do, and that is to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. That helps out this video, it helps out other videos on my channel, and that makes me happy. And when I'm happy, all I want to do is sketch more cars. So it's very simple. It's a nice circle of creativity there. So that's about it for this video. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Do you want to learn how to sketch cars and products? Check out my online courses in the description below, where you'll learn everything from the basic tools to use, analog sketching with pen, paper, and markers, digital sketching using Photoshop and a tablet. You also get downloadable resources and templates, and so much more. For those of you who aspire to one day work as a designer, I'll even walk you through each page and structure of my 2 portfolios that got me into a master's degree in car design in Italy and got me my first job as an industrial designer right here in Florida. All courses are 100% online, which means that you can access the courses at any time from anywhere. Click the link below in the description to learn more. I'll see you on the inside.